Welcome back to Clutch Gaming versus TSM, where Clutch just staved off the sweep and looked to tie the series here in Game 4. They definitely have their work cut out for them. We heard the analyst desk talking a little bit about doing something to Spica's champion pool, try and mix him up so you can really just throw TSM off from the get-go.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to see exactly where they decide to go in picks and bans. I mean, I think that, focusing Spica does make a lot of sense, but also at the end of the day, I think this has been a series about execution. And I think that Clutch failed to execute in the early game, both games 1 and 2. And in game 3, we saw what they can actually do with an early game lead. Even from those huge deficits in the first 2 losses, they were able to battle back and keep it close. So it's going to come down, I think, more to just which team is actually playing better in the game.
Yeah, there's been a lot of scrutiny for champion select. I know Mitos on the desk as well had his eyes towards pinching Zven's champion pool and his Lucian in the last game, not really having an effect for TSM. We'll see if they can set up their bottom lanes as well. Sona, right off the bat once again, Clutch Gaming get her out of the game.
They did not like those sustained fights. I mean, nobody does. It's so hard to get around. Even with Ocean Drakes in their favor, TSM was able to grab one themselves. So what fight do you really want to take in that case? Here we are, though, in Game 4. Clutch Gaming has taken the right fights to get themselves here, at least, and keep those world dreams alive as TSM looks to get back onto that international stage after a 2018 miss.
Now, will Clutch go for the Yuumi ban red side once again? They did the last time around, and it is going to stay true. So a bit of a draft disadvantage, honestly. If you can't play Yuumi and you're having to ban it on blue side, instead of it kind of being a default red side ban. But Skarner left up here by TSM. They are instead deciding to take away the GP, which was actually what was first packed last time that Clutch was on blue. So Lira will have his comfort here.
Spica gets it as well. There's the Sejuani. Would you expect anything else than Bristle and Sej to be locked in for TSM? See what happens here for the next ones. Could be a good pickup in Xayah, and one of those top 80 carries of the Rift currently goes into the hands of Zven.
Now, are they going to break up the Xayah Rakan again? I do think that Rakan and Skarner work really well together for Clutch, for an engaged combination. So I think they should do it, regardless of what Cody Sun does pick. Try and split that one up because you can't give over the duo.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they just don't want to play the bottom side, so they're going to prioritize Ezreal. But I've got to say, I really am surprised that there's not going to be any Caitlyn Morgana or those sorts of plays, which have worked so well for them against the inevitable sort of Xayah Rakan, especially when we already have Sejuani being picked up. Morgana's great into that with the Black Shield, but this is going to be the playstyle. We're going to have the self-sufficient bottom lane just as last time. Clutch is going to go for powerful solo laners and try to play heavily through them with Lira on this comfort pick of the Skarner.
The thing to me this time around too, though, while it is super comfortable for Lira, Skarner's early impact is not the same as Jarvan. Last time around, Lira actually played the Jarvan well, got the flash off of Bjergsen. They were able to attack mid lane and find some success. So Skarner is a bit more delayed. You can go for, once you get your boots, you can get your Predator gank. But besides that, you pretty much got to get to 6.
I'm also curious to see, will Irelia get banned out here? I think it would make a lot of sense. We've seen it both for Huni as well as Damonte. Has been a very impactful pick for them throughout. Huni having a monstrous game on the Irelia last time. We've already taken away his GP, which he was kind of having that 1v9 game that they did end up losing regardless. And knocking down Huni a peg seems to really, really be important to actually handling Clutch in this series.
Absolutely. I feel like if you can kind of get in Huni's head, he then plays to the level of his opponents and kind of has a hard time just being shock and awe Huni, which still to the level of his opponents becomes a pretty great level and caliber of play, but it's not the Huni that you're looking for. We'll see what they can get his hands on this game. Final ban, though, from Clutch Gaming here with 10 seconds left.
Probably just Azir. I think they ban Azir, they pick Sylas. Wow, Camille, interesting. So they are going to leave up the Azir. To me, that's like very conspicuous. That's like asking them to take it.
Aatrox probably then, because Camille's so good into it. Maybe they're trying to protect the pick, expecting Sylas or something to come through.
Among like 3 main favorites, Broken Blade loves Camille. So that just kind of works out as a champion. He would always want to play against a good matchup in the top lane.
With Camille gone, Aatrox rises in priority. There we go. What is the answer going to be? Sylas, I think, super high priority here. They definitely need some sort of AP damage.
Yeah, it is interesting here to kind of ban that out because it still opens up for the last biggest year, which is a lot of comfort there for TSM. Gnar, we did see that be very big in the series against FlyQuest, was not actually played yesterday by Huni, but a lot of bans being thrown his way. This will be grabbed up, and we might just see like a Syndra or something.
Clutch need consistent damage. They could take the Azir themselves and put
true.
Damonte on it. They definitely need some more backline DPS. They've got a lot of tank.
Wonder what they're thinking about. Always going into that week of play, you kind of think about the same thing over and over, but it is going to be the Sylas. The Azir doesn't get picked up for them. Still getting a good bit of damage, but is it enough follow-up DPS coming from Clutch here to get through this team? There's going to be a big tank and Broken Blade, and Spica on Sejuani, but what's the rest of the comp as we see it here? Bjergsen to lock in something, 10 seconds left. We'll see what he has here for Clutch Game.
It's probably going to be Azir.
Yeah,
that is a self-counter pick into Sylas.
It's for
so
sure.
There's no way, yeah.
I mean, people love the memes from Bjergsen's stream, but it has to be Azir. There it is. TSM going to have some front-to-back team fights set up for themselves. And Clutch Gaming need to get that Skarner first pick value out of Lira. It has been so good for them all year long. By far his best champion, most played, most successful. And now, when they need it most, it's going to have to be a victory, or else TSM are making their way to Worlds.
Yeah, Lira, though, I believe sitting at 14-4 on the champion, throughout this split, throughout playoffs, so it has been, incredibly good on this champion here. And yeah, I mean, I just think TSM, when you're looking over at their late game, that is so terrifying. Their team fight with the powerful front line of the Sejuani and the Aatrox. Great engage here from Rakan. Powerful DPS in the backline from the Azir and the Zaya. Feels like they're going to be set up incredibly well unless Clutch can pull off, some sort of incredible combo with the Gnar, with the stolen Sejuani ult, and these types of things.
We're about to head into game 4. Clutch Gaming has planted the seed of the reverse sweep in TSM's mind. They know everything about it, and they would love to make it happen against TSM. We'll see if Clutch can do it, or if TSM is hungry enough to find themselves back on the world stage, or does Lira pull Clutch Gaming into a game 5 with this 4 Skarner pick? It should be an exciting one. Each game back and forth, as you said previously for that last game, it was a bit of the slowest one as teams continue to realize the result that's going to happen now after these games. You play not to lose instead of playing to win at this point, because things can get scary throughout the game.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I think teams can fall into, and you have to be very careful when you are playing that mindset, because when you're playing not to lose, you can essentially be giving up too many things, ceding too much ground, giving over too many jungle camps, and putting yourself in a position where then when you are forced to fight, you're not in a position to actually win that. So it will be interesting, and we do see Ocean will be the first dragon there, so pretty high priority always put on that first Ocean dragon. So going to be excited to see which team can actually get priority down around the bottom side, because Clutch did not draft to actually play to this Ezreal Tahm Kench lane. They drafted to kind of leave this alone and have success elsewhere. And I'm interested to see if they will change up their game plan whatsoever because of this Ocean.
And honestly, I think that both teams are going to be farming very heavily in the beginning here. Both Sejuani and Skarner going to be focusing on fast clearing camps, then looking for maybe an opportunistic opening around mid lane or possibly around top lane, but all of these lanes should be able to handle themselves. And I think these junglers are going to focus on getting their camps to respawn as quickly as possible to get to those level 6 ultimates where you can actually make a difference in some of those lane matchups.
Definitely plays to the TSM and Clutch style. As soon as you get ults, you hit that R button and get into the fight. See the slow going early game. We'll see who can get the better of it as we get your lovers duo bot lane versus the Ezreal Tahm Kench here on the other side. Cody Sun going to feel pretty good on the Ez. We thought it was just the Kaisa he would initiate fights with, but we saw him going face first into TSM last game with arcane shifts, showing them that it could be done. The fights were messy, but man, it seems that is promoting Clutch's style right now.
Big shouts as well as he gets the Mystic shot threaded through the range minions for some harassment. Keep your eyes if he gets that sly sack of gold. But a lot of this early game, again, is going to be, Huni trying to push in Broken Blade, using the range advantage of mini Gnar. You spam out your boomerang, But while you're doing this, you're not focused mostly on the damage you're dealing to Aatrox. It's mostly on warding him off of the minions and turning around for those last hits. Does miss one right there. He goes for it, and Broken Blade is trying to make him miss another one.
Yeah, it is interesting to see that he did end up going fleet footwork here. I wonder if he was expecting perhaps the Aatrox to take Comet, as you do sometimes see in these melee versus ranged matchups, similar to kind of how Camille plays that out. And in those cases, you often need the extra sustain from that Keystone. But seeing that it is Conqueror, this is kind of more the brawly type, less about the poke. Something like PTA could have been more effective, but either way, you're at least healing up as you pull ranged minion aggro when you're harassing him, so you're going to be kind of sustaining off that.
Also, it could signal Huni wants to go for the split push Frozen Mallet style Gnar, because if you get the little bit of move speed off of something with your footwork, then you can get into range with your Frozen Mallet, continue to harass in a side lane, and does make Gnar extremely good in those situations, trying to chase a single person down. Look at him just whittle away at Broken Blade under the turret, denying so much CS to the tower.
I think we did have a bit of that going on versus FlyQuest. When they switched the lanes up, we saw Huni build in that Frozen Mallet against the Karma top. So he could be doing that again.
And kind of what I was looking at, full clear of both jungles for both junglers. Sejuani and Skarner just want to get their camps respawning as quickly as possible to get to those level 6, to get to those Predator ganks. That we know for these two, and in the meantime, it is just farm trade. Only big difference is that top lane. Huni trying to take advantage of this time that he knows he has on Gnar, try and get an edge over the Aatrox, because it will even out here for Aatrox later.
It's got to feel good for the junglers. 4 minutes, no rush. Okay, we're cool with that. Stay out of my jungle. Whoa, Infernal Chains tears back the Mega Gnar.
Conquer proc
He's
2.
not feeling good right now. He should be able to get out of this one, though. I was waiting for the wallop to come back. Broken Blade on the slow chase. No boots, no nothing, but that is a hell of a lot of damage for just Doran shields to start off level 4.
Yeah, that is a nice trade there from Broken Blade, and Huni just waiting a little bit too long to actually top out.
Predator?
Does have
Possibly one more lick. Hesitated there for a moment. Wasn't the full play, so they decided to go off. He's going to roll that up for his mid lane to see if anything works after Shrine.
Yeah, not able to really find anything there. But again, back to those jungle camps. Chickens have respawned, go right back over here. And they are going to have this ward that Huni placed up on the top side, spotting out Spica back to those Krugs, clearing that out. So, full information really on both junglers, as Lira shows bottom side, Spica spotted out on the top side.
Few Dorans for Bjergsen, wants to stay healthy in the mid lane. May expect a little bit of love from the rest of Lira and the team as 6 hits. And we see that damage coming through with the Dark Seal and Damonte's Corrupting Potion and some boots to start off.
So very big difference already in this game. Instant teleports from Clutch back to lane here. Huni and Cody Sun both using them to get back to lane to start farming earlier. Meanwhile, Zven and Broken Blade walk all the way back to lane, preparing for that possible Ocean Dragon fight that we talked about. Everybody will have their global available, so Broken Blade can teleport down. Meanwhile, Huni cannot, and it's hard for him to interrupt too if he's not close to Mega.
Yeah, and really then your job becomes, as Huni, keep him locked under his turret. If he's going to TP, you need to make him lose something for it. You need to have him losing turret plates, have him losing a lot of farm and experience. Otherwise, TSM is just put in too easy of a position, and Spica may just be starting this up right now. His bot lane has them shoved in, they have TP advantage, and it's on to the Ocean Dragon. Is spotted, so we'll see, can Clutch actually do anything about this?
Yeah, that's the signal I was talking about. Teleport is up, so then you get your deep control ward, and that starts up the Dragon for TSM. Looks like it's convergence. Huni's walking all the way down the river, and they see Gnar over this ward. So Huni's walking halfway down is enough to say that they don't have enough DPS to finish off that Dragon this early in the game.
And he didn't actually head back to top lane, so they're going to actually commit to this. They're going for Bjergsen here.
And first divide through, Bjergsen and Damonte using that ultimate now, as it's going to be Broken Blade coming in with his teleport. That was the discrepancy we saw before, and TSM can get to these fights. Lira just short on a Predator Flash Impale, and it looks like this one will fizzle out as well.
I mean, Clutch are going to very likely start up the Dragon, though. Otherwise, you don't bring Huni all the way down here. He would have walked back up to top lane when they saw them pull off the Ocean, so Clutch are going to commit to it.
I would say TSM have a possibility of answering because Bjergsen goes back to base, but he's got his teleport as well.
There's the pull. It's going to be onto one. They do get Zven. Can he get all the way back to safety? They flash onto him as well, and now it's going to be the kill coming in from Vulcan. Here comes the teleport. Bjergsen was the only one with that left. This Spica is running down. It's going to be Broken Blade still farming out mid lane. So these are the only TSM members you're getting out of this fight. It looks like they're able to stop any more from happening.
And Clutch get the first blood after all of that. TSM teleporting right back out, though. Zven is alive and returns to the scene of the crime. In the end, TSM are going to start up the dragon once again. I think that's all that Clutch have.
Yeah.
Damonte's got teleport. No, he could teleport in. They could contest again.
He's coming through. It's going to be pretty damaged. Vulcan's going to try to get in there as well. Does he have Unsealed Spellbook? No, he has Guardian, so he cannot smite it down for the team. An unfortunate situation there. But CG wants to see what they can get now in the stragglers of TSM. Grand Entrance gets Smoothie out on the exit, and the Mystic Shots are following up. And here is the rest of the team of Clutch, and they just have slivers of health bars. They're attacking up for TSM. They finally grab one as Zven goes down.
Yeah, they do get a kill on the way out there, but a pretty split call. I mean, Lira was on Raptors and used his smite, as the rest of his team is actually going to contest the dragon, so very clearly he's on a different page than the rest of the squad, and they are lucky to at least get a kill back there, but a pretty crazy series of minutes as we had both top laners just sitting down in mid lane and all of this fighting down around that dragon as both teams don't want to give up that early ocean.
Yep, keep track of all your teleport timers because that is going to be important. We've got a minute and a half on the Rift Herald spawning next, and it will be a similar scenario as neither of these teams has been willing to just concede one of these objectives.
And if they do decide to go to that Rift Herald, you know, we could actually see Clutch then having the TP advantage, right? You can swap your bot lane top, bring Huni down to that bottom lane, and his teleport is going to be up a lot sooner than Broken Blade's.
Up towards the top, they do swap those lanes. Bottom lane's getting crushed in, though. Broken Blade needs to pick that CS up quick so he can get his experience back. And we'll see what happens here as core items start getting into the inventories, let's say rest speed items. As we get back to this switched up lane, the Australian lane, as Pastry would call it. It's 9.5 minutes in. It could be a good focus for Clutch to get down on this Rift Herald, being able to push Smoothie back, having advantage now, and able to get forward wards mean they could have ideal positioning on the objective.
Spica does get the smite there, I believe.
Yep.
Able to get his red buff. Lira was trying to kill the ward and turn around for a smite fight. Not going to happen, though. And here comes that Rift Herald I was talking about. 15 seconds upon arrival. Since Lira didn't use his smite, he's got plenty of charges, but Spica had 2, so they'll be ready as well. And already on your mini-map, you can see Aatrox walking up for it. So both teams going to try and make a play on it.
Yeah,
Sharima shuffle there.
I do think that Huni, you know, they're leaving it on the bot side, so they want to wait until teleport is up, right? And TSM now has this window before the teleport is up to try to force it if they pull up the Aatrox, but with Broken Blade going down to the bottom side again, you know, that window is now closing, and Clutch can wait about 15 seconds, then start this up themselves, knowing they will have that man advantage.
Lira now onto that Herald. They have pulled it out of the pit just a little bit, so it's creased around the wall. Now it's lost vision on TSM, so they have to come all the way around and force themselves into the fight. Great positioning by Clutch to now get TSM in that choke, but they have to be careful how many of TSM can come over that slight bit of the wall with Arctic Assault with a few of the ultimates. Lira now steps up with Predator on to scare them off as he flexes his muscles, and this is going to be Clutch's Rift Herald finally in the 4th game.
So there was an interesting fight that we could just see on the mini-map there, and it was between Huni and Broken Blade. Broken Blade tried to get back to the minions on bottom side, but Huni pushes him out of the river, and this gives him the inside track on that highway straight up to Rift Herald. So he gets there first, and they're able to push TSM off of the Rift Herald.
Huni just playing a little boomerang game with Broken Blade on the bot side. Try to get that hyper damage in, but he won't connect the 3rd shot just yet. 1-0 for Huni, 87 CS to 78 of Broken Blade. Both of these solo laners could easily provide the fight win for their team in their current position and how they've been scaling up throughout the game. And it looks like Spica may pay a little love to the bot side here for Huni.
Yeah, they are going to look for it potentially here, but he is pretty far back. Unless Huni actually goes aggressive onto Broken Blade, I don't know that they can make this happen.
This is kind of risky. If Spica shows on bottom side, you can make a Rift Herald play on top side of the map for Clutch because you want to get that money out of the turret plates, and it's going to be that. They're going to brute force on top side. Plenty of money here to be had off of turret plates. Recall from TSM bottom lane. I mean, they might even burn through the whole thing here.
And Lira being forward means he was probably saying, yeah, I don't see Spica yet. They know they have a clear take on this top side. They're going to use True Shot Barrage as well for a bit of that vision across the map and do a bit of damage to the minion wave and the bot side.
And they will be able to get this entire turret. The bottom lane not even going to be able to contest as Lira is just kind of zoning them off. They could even try to escort this in for a little bit of chip damage on that second turret here if they want to. Lira still has flash and ult available, so TSM with just 2 members here have to be pretty respectful of that fact.
Zven there with Smoothie. Bjergsen and the rest of the team look like they could be rotating up towards the Raptor area to continue in this fight. Bjergsen's Quicksilver Sash, second item coming off the cooldown now. He knows how imperative it is to stay alive through the hands of Lira. A lot of damage now onto the Lira, rather. As I talk about him and forget it's him getting attacked, and he goes down as we're able to find him. Quicksilver Sash not needed there.
That could be a big pick for TSM because the Dragon is available. This is Cloud Drake. They could get an objective afterwards. With this pick on the jungler, there's no smite for Clutch Gaming. It's very early in the game, so the death timer is very short, but this should be a conversion for TSM. They talked about the NLSS last game. Some of the picks TSM were getting, they didn't get objectives after the fact, but this time around, good reaction. They immediately traverse into the Dragon, and even though Lyra's back up, I think they get it. TSM gonna have full Dragon control in this game despite being down in gold. Oh!
That one makes you a little bit nervous when you see that flying.
As a jungler, you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, but still nicely played there from TSM. It was a good pick on the top side. And I think that Lira had a little bit of overconfidence perhaps due to the fact that Tahm Kench was behind him, but Smoothie played it well, utilizing his engage onto the Skarner, but then going forward with the quickness and actually standing between Vulcan and Lira. So if Vulcan were to try to come and save him, he would just be getting charmed up and die as well. And TSM are going to need to have quality engages like that from Smoothie, who will be the primary form of engage in a lot of these team fights.
Down towards the bot. A little bit of focus to the mid and bot lane now as well as the final 2 turrets. Clutch wants to find 5 turret plates for them, catapulting a bit of that gold into their pockets. We're not seeing too many core items just yet. That Black Cleaver is finished up for Huni, which is absolutely huge. You can see him kind of running Broken Blade around the jungle right now as they tango towards the top side. But this bottom lane focus is about to get Spica's help as well. A little bit of a slow play from Clutch. I don't think they plan to do anything here as the teams are waiting for the next objective to come up.
And that next objective is going to be another Infernal. We've had a ton of them throughout this series, so another big one. 3 Infernals in the last 2 games each, so we'll see how many we're going to get in this one. But that Infernal, very likely, as you're saying, Riv, is going to be a really big point that these 2 teams do want to contest. And right now, for Clutch, it is just about Huni pushing out side lanes and then trying to utilize that pressure to get vision, to move around the map and threaten other lanes. And they're feeling pretty good about that, but this early QSS on Bjergsen, I think, has been very intelligent, and Bjergsen is now sitting in a position where it becomes really difficult to actually attack the Azir, and without first attacking the Azir, you're never going to be able to kill down that turret.
Oh, Predator Zoomies coming in from Lira. Will he be able to get the Impale down? Oh, he clicks over onto the map part, so it makes him path downward. They're going to lose their top laner now. Lira actually wants to exit stage right on this one. It's not going to happen. The curtain may hit him right in the face on the way out. Gets a quick stun into Broken Blade. Spica doesn't have to follow up damage. Spica's got one more shot in him, and he turns off, and that's going to be aggro now on a Broken Blade. They may have juggled this one a bit too much. Damonte misses that first dash forward, and he looks for the grab. He is going to find Broken Blade just for a moment, though. Steals the ult. World Ender's going to go down, so he's going to get a bit of health back on that one if he can get these kills, but they're not coming through just yet. Possible one of the Kingslayer here. Locked up by the Sejuani as Spica comes through with the auto attacks from Broken Blade, and what a back and forth to leave with a sliver of health.
Huni's coming back, though. He TP'd in. He's going to get this kill on Broken Blade, probably.
There's going to be a few. Boomerang goes towards the top as they think they can get Broken Blade as he exits toward the middle. Minions are going to give that.
Oh, he missed again.
Infernal Chains hits, but he's going to hop forward, and here Broken Blade now with just a bit of health left. That's the shutdown for Huni, so he can pick up more gold.
Even though it ends in the shutdown for Huni, that last minute was all TSM. This is so big for them. Clutch Gaming go for this pick onto Broken Blade, but they have no vision on the Sejuani until he shows up now, and Broken Blade just absolutely smashes Huni there in the 1v2, knowing that Spica's coming for the secondary kill onto Lira. This is where it gets a little dicey as they stay a very long time on the dive, and the teleport does come in. Broken Blade gets the second kill there as well, though. But bottom lane made a play at the exact same time. Look at that, Smoothie immediately answers, even though Vulcan eats up Cody Sun. He's so low on the way out that Bjergsen's teleport is enough to grab the double. So it's basically a cross-map pickup for TSM, winning the fights on both sides, and a lot of summoner spells used for clutch as well.
Especially those kills going into Bjergsen's pocket is so big. You know, completing the Nashers now, really going to be sitting at quite a good spot here. Huni looking, though. He does have Mega Gnar, and they're in this corridor.
Huni is throwing himself to TSM right now with that ultimate up. Lira almost there. Impale on the Spica. The damage is not following, though. They have different targets that they're focusing on the side of Clutch Gaming. They still are able to take down Spica, and there goes Smoothie. Broken Blade's going to be in quite late on this one, and it seems like TSM already wanted out of the fight. 1 or 2 licks to stick here, and he could be caught up, but Vulcan did not have Tongue Lash. Infernal Chain's not grabbing him back either, and such a back and forth for every fight. You almost don't know when the fight is gonna end.
What happened there for Spica? He turns around to stun the Gromp, then throws out his ultimate to the side, goes down. That's a pretty big pick for Clutch Gaming. Right after they were celebrating on the side of TSM, here they are gonna push heavily onto Cody Sun, though.
Seems like TSM always has a way to find themselves on the upper part of a fight, even if they were the one losing members. Mid's gonna go down. Huni does have a focus on bot here as Mega Gnar. So as he changes out, he'll be able to get that turret down and push a bit forward, but we still got action in mid.
Yeah, the Infernal is spawning, so TSM is going to go right to it. And remember, Mega Gnar is cooling down now for Huni, so it's very difficult to actually team fight without this. He's got to wait for the cooldown, then charge up all his rage before he can really be much of a threat in this team fight. But Clutch have pushed TSM back for now. A lot of key ultimates kind of missing here, though. No Mega Gnar right now for Huni. No Skarner ultimate as well.
Yeah, they're out of there. It looks like Bjergsen heading top lane. That means no fight for TSM, and Clutch will pick up this Infernal.
Quite a few. Kind of fits the theme of the game for Clutch here.
All right,
See if they can
what is going on with
play
Spica
one
here?
more time.
He turns around, he stuns the Gromp, then he gets ulted into the wall, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I didn't catch that the first time through. That's just a straight up mistake.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no reasoning for that.
Very good pick there by Clutch, though. You know, they jump in on the opportunity. They take down the enemy jungler. So that is a big strike right back, and they still have a very big gold lead to work with here. Now they've got the Infernal Drake on top of it. So basically back on game plan here for Clutch.
Yeah, and it does feel to me like that's a little bit of nerves. You're panicking, you're in the stun, you're trying to mash to use your Q to go away to the right side. Your cursor is still there, and then you're slamming ultimate, right? And this is something that certainly can happen. Spica does not have much stage experience whatsoever. You know, in last game, certainly had some mistakes. This time around in game 4, showing a bit of nerves. As this is an incredibly important match, and he is the least experienced by a country mile.
Absolutely, and still being able to get his champions, he's kind of expected at that point to play a little bit better than average, I should say. So for him to kind of have that thought in his mind here coming into game 4, doesn't want to get reverse swept, he hasn't had the chance to be in this situation very much to understand how to fix it or just say, hey, this is the game, we're still fine. Hopefully the players around him, as we talked about before, world contenders have been on that stage are helping to ease that for Spica.
Now this is pretty interesting, seeing a Warmog second here from Huni. Very atypical, honestly, for the Gnar. And I'm not really understanding the idea behind it, other than, hey, if you trade really heavily, then heal back up, and you can threaten
he's going in.
He's going in.
Looks like he gets himself out of the Infernal Chains. It's a bit of a dance now until he takes the utmost of the damage, and there it finally comes through, but Cody Sun and the rest of the team are here to fight. They're surrounded by TSM members, and Clutch has to work quick if they want to make this one come out on their side. Vulcan going low, throws down the gray health into the stasis, and now he's going to come out, hopefully staying alive. Flashes from the quick sweet spot of Broken Blade. Featherstorm comes up, and he's going to keep himself alive. Broken Blade with the Broman as he takes a shot there for his marksman. And now TSM is going to limp away from this one.
Get kind of dicey there, and you heard the big shout go up from the crowd when Huni went in for the 1v1 perceived there. and TSM are able to get the kill on him. But it could have been worse because Clutch were trying to arrive in time to help out Huni. With TSM getting the kill so quickly, they almost collected a few more here, but it is just going to end up with the 1 kill going over. But here's another look at how they pulled it off. You know, Broken Blade once again on the Aatrox. As soon as Spica is able to arrive, they finish off the kill, and then Lira flashes for Broken Blade to try and get him under tower, but they don't have any damage backup.
Yeah, and part of the problem there is the minions were still alive. So he flashed to pull him under the turret, but there's no turret aggro going out. And this is back-to-back games where Huni has been kind of baited fairly easily by TSM. You know, that wasn't even a close fight whatsoever for him. It's not as though he was almost about to kill him. Broken Blade still had 100% HP. So, you know, Huni has to be a little bit more careful, and they're going for the play again. Broken Blade's just going to walk at him and say, Huni, come get me, with Spica sitting behind you. So, you know, they're trying to play to these tendencies that Huni has where he wants to outplay his opponent. He wants to go for these 1v1 fights where he feels so confident.
All right, the next level of that mind game is Clutch need to always have Lira behind Huni so that if you try and bait our Huni, yes, he'll take the bait.
Baiting the baiter.
But we also have it. All right, not going to be the case this time, though. It's just Huni versus 2.
That Black Cleaver and Warmogs hopefully keeping him alive long enough for the rest of the team. That's the idea with the build, and now they're finally here. The cavalry has arrived, but stopped dead in their tracks by the icebox coming out of Spica. Lira caught that one in the kisser. I do not think that Clutch Gaming is going to get too much of a grip on Dragon, but TSM's going to fight for it. That is for sure.
Yeah, it's like everybody in this game knows there's going to be a fight around Huni, so now everybody's jumping in. As soon as it starts out, everybody bottom lane. And this is being said with another Infernal coming up. So if you use your flash in one of these fights, if you use a big cooldown, we've only got 40 seconds left on the Infernal Dragon coming up.
Yeah, and that was the teleport out of Damonte to help bail Huni out of that. You know, after TSM had set up that play once again here. You know, Huni does have the Warmog, so he can obviously stay out on the map, so that is an advantage there from the build. And it's going to be about this mid lane control now. You can see that Clutch is trying to push this up. They will now head over towards that dragon, try to clear out vision from this area, and see if they can really set themselves up well for the second Infernal, which would be a really big advantage for them here. But, you know, it is really only 2 people who are heavily stacking AD and AP, the Ezreal and that Sylas, so not as big as it is for some comps.
Vulcan standing tall right in the soldiers. He's got to be careful. Bjergsen has all 3 up, so he gets that attack speed buff for the current level he has on W. Huni dives in with a bit of a jump there to try and get a boomerang stop, and now they have Sundisk up in mid. Clutch Gaming, Damonte uses the Glacial Prison just to deter TSM a little bit more, see what else they can get. And they drop the second tier turret nicely. Now trying to engage onto TSM, Smoothie to the back line. Grand Edge into the quick.
Oh, the Mega Dart!
Trap them up. And a great job by Huni as he gets himself in a position and spit out by Vulcan for more safety. The Sundisk is keeping TSM alive, but only for so long. It looks like Clutch wants to grab down one more time on the team, or at least go for the Infernal.
Yeah, TSM is able to kind of out-rotate their opponents there. Really nice use of the Sundisk to try to cut off Clutch and get that tier 2. But this late in the game, I'm not sure that I actually like that trade of a turret for the Infernal. I do think the Infernal becomes worth more when we're 25 minutes in. So TSM losing the kill and getting chunked out here.
And I think the initial idea is good from TSM, and they get the tower, but if the fight goes poorly like this for them, then they're going to lose the Infernal. Look at that engage into the back line. Huni knocks the whole team away, so then Smoothie, the Rakan, is left with no one to jump back to because they've created just such a big separation, and that allows Clutch to finish off the extra kill and then earn themselves the dragon.
But something really cute I didn't actually spot in the initial play was that Lira actually runs back and holds still so Huni can jump off of him for the little Goomba Stomp for the engage there. So gave him the double bounce in the perfect position over the wall to try to get him in position for the Mega Gnar. So that's some nice little teamwork and communication there from that duo.
A top lane synergy coming in from those two of Huni and Lira to make the plays happen. You can see the gold in the pockets of the players on the Rift right now. 10,000 gold currently in the hands of Cody Sun. He is the richest member on the map. You can thank Klepto for that as well a little bit as he picks the pockets of his opponents. 2 Infernal Drakes to the side of Clutch. That's working out for Vulcan, the Roman god of fire. It seems to just be kind of going with the whole team they have there in the bot lane. So maybe this game is aligning here for the side of Clutch to make sure they get a game 5. 2 kills for Damonte in that mid lane. The rest are spread out across the board Side of TSM also 6 with 2 kills on Bjergsen, so we're definitely looking at those two to put up fights here. We haven't really seen them come out in the games. A lot of the AD carry play and a lot of top laner engages have been coming out of Huni.
I have really liked how Clutch consistently, every time Cody Sun is on Ezreal, is giving him double buffs. And the mid laner is not actually taking it. They're going for a play now on the side lane, looking potentially for Bjergsen here.
Oh, but he has a whole wall of people to defend for him. It's going to be a 3v3 quickly in the Krog area. Spica's going low, and he seems to be the first focus, but Broken Blade puts himself in there to be the next beat wall. And now Emperor's Divide slows the fight down so the soldiers can do their work, poking at Cody Sun and the rest of Clutch Gaming as they head out of the fight. No minions are really in position for anybody to do anything around the map other than fight like we just saw.
Yeah, that was really dicey. It looked like Vulcan actually devoured Cody Sun out of his Arcane Shift. I believe he was trying to Arcane Shift over the wall and got actually interrupted by the Tahm Kench Devour there. So certainly put him in a risky spot, but both teams do respond quickly and end up having to disengage.
All right, in the aftermath, TSM will clean up the minion waves for themselves. And we can see if they can push up some of this vision around Baron a little bit further, because Clutch are already investing a lot of time into this. Huni goes right back to the scene, clears out that ward, grabs Skarner's Spire as well for Lira, who did use Flash in the last one, but he'll have Predator coming right back up for himself. And this is going to have to be both teams relying on their front lines to create this space. Bottom side for TSM is pushed all the way to the turret, and those minions might even finish it off.
2 on Ocean Drake. It'd be great to have against an Azir if you're Clutch, or even TSM if you're fighting against Clutch. And we'll see what they can do. Pushing here, Zven, clean up nice minions. And they're gonna head towards the top side. 275 to 272 there, no real discrepancy in the CS. It's all coming down to the items you have now. A few summoner spells are down on each, but the priority ones coming up very soon to make this next fight pretty spicy.
All right, Clutch's next objective, push out this bottom wave with Damonte, who has the teleport coming up on the Sylas, and then make use of your control wards in Baron to get Lira an easier pick with the Skarner. Meanwhile, for TSM, they're trying to keep up this vision around the main objective. They too can actually go, for an initiation on Clutch while they're split. In the time that it takes Damonte's teleport to go off, you can do a lot of damage. Bjergsen right now is scaling up with the Azir and should feel pretty confident since his flash will come up fairly soon and he's got that QSS.
And we're seeing it, this is the point in the game where more and more of those QSSs are coming through. A couple already completed. This null could be for one as well. I'm going to be interested to see where Zven goes here. Is it going to be towards a QSS next item or looking to complete a Zeal item? Because that really is going to be where that Xayah damage starts to ramp up quite a lot. But, TSM have a lot of farm, a lot of gold on their 2 primary damage dealers here, Zven and Bjergsen. So despite being behind, despite being down those Infernals, the Infernals are less effective in this game because it really is just amping Cody Sun and Damonte. Not much AD has been bought up by the rest of the team. So, TSM still is in this game with a fighting chance, and it's going to come down to how can they execute in these team fights.
And breaking it down to the bare minimum for both, they need 3 turrets to get to the Nexus on either side with 1 inhibitor in that way. Mid lane has been taken all the way down to the base, so a very big fight could crack these bases. TSM on the cusp of returning to Worlds after a 2018 miss. And Clutch Gaming wanting to keep this series alive, so that dream is a possibility of Worlds.
Yeah, TSM has been kind of chasing this. They are trying to return to glory. They were so dominant in North America for so many years, 10 straight finals. They lost that. They missed out on Worlds, for the first time really last year. And now are posing, looking like they want to try to go for an engage here. As soon as he's going to have that Mega Gnar expiring, and maybe TSM could look for a move.
Predator pops there. No full engage found though, so that is going to time out. TSM pull up the Sundesk to defend around mid lane as well. You have to fight over these minion waves because it's very dangerous to go walk in and try and get vision around this Baron. So you're trying to get vision off of pushing a minion wave up into enemy territory and use that as an area of safety to then spill into the river here.
Ocean goes down. That means they're going to have Lira and Damonte into the fight quite quick, but TSM is positioning now to get that Baron side to make sure they can choke Clutch Gaming into the river before anything happens on that side of the map. A little bit of clearing of the minions on the top by Bjergsen as no fight comes of the mid lane positioning.
Yeah, they're actually just going to start up Baron. They do have this Azir with Triple Soldier.
Oh,
Ember is down quick. But Huni's about to go Mega. This is dangerous.
Huni is almost on Meganar. He throws the clock out to give TSM the time of day, and they're going to have to back off on this one. Baron's at half. Huni hops forward just to kind of get the aggro in, let him know he is not kidding. The rest of the team is going to head back to clear out the minions. They don't feel like TSM is going to start that Baron, but will allow them to tempt it again. It's like Clutch and TSM both want to tempt this, and they're going to go for it.
Yeah, TSM is starting up this Baron here. Spica's already really low, though. He's got to be careful.
Got to watch out when those resistances are cut from fighting the Baron, as well as your damage that you're doing to it. Lyra's coming in. They get Spica, but that's a big impale on one of the members. Now they can get that smite down onto the Baron, but it's going to be the fight first onto TSM. Damonte looking for the perfect ultimate to take, as he does have hijack up. But it looks like TSM is just going to waltz out of this one. It's going to be a 32-minute Baron, but it's going down quite slow, and we'll see if TSM reconsiders, but I think not.
Slow and steady wins the race, Riv, and that is going to be a Baron for Clutch Gaming. Spica got so low on that Baron, it absolutely shredded him.
It doesn't really have anything if you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it has a little bit of tanking is certainly all that additional health, but
Yeah.
tanking the Baron did get hit by some of that poke there as well. TSM, it seemed like, as the Meganar expired, it felt like they could go back in, but he's just getting hit by so many Mystic shots here.
Four.
Cody Sun, that is
5.
3, 4, 5 in a row, as you're saying, and he's just getting tagged down. Lira with all of that speed, Righteous Glory, Predator, zooms on in there, and just focuses down that low HP jungler. TSM has no choice but to retreat from that point and gives up the easy Baron.
That was a fast little scorpion there for Lyra at the end, and he had an easy job too, going in on the 20% HP Sejuani. Let's see what Clutch can actually do with this Baron. They are pushing against the Azir Xayah, but it seems like they should be able to have Huni consistently on the side wave, be able to push up the rest of the team. TSM setting up in a brush.
Facial Prison onto Lira. If they can stop him, that's going to be huge. He's the one that created the play last time, but he is going to be safe for a quick second. He gets spit out. Looking for that damage coming in from the True Shot Barrage as Damonte is on the back. Hijack still available to use as Bjergsen's looking to kill Huni. Soldiers forward. Huni just gets the drop out. That's going to be the Morellos, not an Ignite, so Huni stays alive. Here comes Damonte. Glacial Prison in his hands. They're going to get one kill there, and he uses it to take down the rest of TSM. They're finding him under the turret now. Great shots coming in from Cody Sun as his Mystic shots are finding every target.
Yeah, they're looking like they just want to keep pushing. Huni with that Warbox barely survives. He's back to full health, and they are looking to push for these Nexus turrets.
Absolutely insane play from Clutch Gaming here. They are going to have eyes on the prize. Only a few members of TSM are alive with Broken Blade and Lovers Duo bot lane. Nexus turret number 1 is going down. Nexus turret number 2 in the rise, but they're going to be stopped up here. TSM on the Iron Lung for game 4, as they do have game point, but now it's going to be for both teams. Clutch Gaming come all the way back. Like I said, they planted the seed for the reverse sweep, and man, is it starting to grow.
Oh my goodness. Lira survives with a sliver of health. Huni survives with a sliver of health. And the re-engage from Clutch shuts the door on game number 2. Game number 5, Silver Scrapes, here we go once again.
Oh my word.
For Clutch and TSM for a spot at Worlds. There is so much pressure on this next game.
Yeah, there certainly is. One game to go to Worlds or to spend the next couple months watching from home, regretting the mistakes that you made. The pressure is immense.
And that's exactly not something that Bjergsen wants to face again. As we were saying before, TSM is the team that has been expected to go to Worlds since 2012, since we've had that portion of since LOL. And now it's again a toss-up. Clutch Gaming has brought them back to 5 games in an incredible series, and this is going to go for more. On how that happened, let's send it back to Dash and the analysts.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We have arrived at Game 5 yet again. I feel like we've been blessed with 5-game series in this postseason, all postseason long.
Clutch Gaming is seeing it all. They're getting all the steps of what it means to play in best of 5s. You get to be reverse sweep. You get to be on the verge of reverse sweeping. You take Team Liquid to Game 5, and it's gonna be pretty tough to take down TSM.
I'm
though,
pretty
because
sure
they
they'd
could
rather be home right now being like, we made worlds already, though. I think
No,
they-
clearly it's strategic. They want more
okay,
stage
more
time.
practice.
Right.
Yeah, more pressure in that.
And I guarantee you they prefer this over having lost with a 3-1 scoreline.
That's true.
Exactly that. Okay, so 26 games in now to the postseason is clutch, and they only need to win one
That's
more.
longer than the normal season.
That is longer than the normal season. It's absurd, actually, how many games that this team has played. Here, once again, getting pushed by TSM. Broken Blade showing up a bit here today in the 1v2.
They had a lot of good early plays for TSM side where they actually had a kill advantage. I think it was like 2-5 around 15 minutes in the game, but they were still down 2K gold because they were out pressured on a lot of parts of the map. And that was kind of the story of the game. They were constantly down pressure and always on the back foot.
Right. Another thing to mention is that it felt like this whole game, TSM, you know, we always talk about the QSS Skarner tax. And I think TSM just didn't really feel super comfortable fighting in a lot of these situations because they picked up 3 QSSs. And to me, it seemed like they could have been more aggressive than they were, but looked like they were either just, you know, either waiting on items or they did not feel confident that they could win a fight.
I think it goes beyond the QSS because all those fights that we just saw, none of them are around getting an objective afterwards. You just, okay, you got kills, then what? What are you doing? So TSM clearly struggling with neutral objectives. We saw it towards the end of the game with the Baron. And to me, this is gonna zero in once again on the fact that you have a jungler that you've just played only one best of series in the entire split that you just slotted right in, and so the inexperience is gonna come into play.
It comes as no surprise to a lot of people who had heard some of the rumblings behind the scenes about the TSM camp and how they were doing in practice. They were really good in laning phase. They were, you know, obviously very confident players, but they were struggling outside laning phase a little bit. And it's the same thing here where all those plays are actually happening on their side of the map. So they're getting pressured as a team, and then they'll make a kill or two happen, but they don't ever actually convert that into anything as a whole unit. And that's what happened in the side lane. They would keep TPing. They had numerous Tahm, Kench ultimates down in the bot lane where Gnar is trying to brute force things. None of them were working for clutch, but it was fine because TSM wasn't punishing correctly.
Right, and then you get to the state of the game, Crumbs, that you had mentioned around the Baron, where TSM almost now feels like they have to make something happen without even eliminating a player on the opposing team first. So they set up around the Baron, and I want to take a look at this setup well before the actual fight takes place, because there's a lot that there is to unpack here with TSM.
Right, this was definitely just one of those calls where after you've been pressured for so long, you think, okay, guys, we just have to do something. And so a lot of the time, this is the most easy thing to do, I guess, just hit Baron. But if you're not ready to either risk a smite fight or turning with some clear engage and going on the enemy team, you kind of end up in this situation where...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say where, now you've given up your mid push, so CG has the option to just push down mid, which you have to respond to. So they just start a desperate Baron right in their face. Spica takes 5 Qs looking for his ult, and it's just GG.
I think that's what it is. You see, it's only Spica and Broken Blade hitting the Baron. Zven and Bjergsen were not involved in that, so clearly you have Smoothie trying to go for a flank, the carries not knowing what to do, and then top and jungle be like, oh, Baron's the call. So 3 plays are trying to happen at the same time, where Clutch Gaming is like, what are these clowns doing? What's happening at the Baron pit? Just wait for it, clean it up, win the game.
I mean, they didn't have control over the rest of the map to allow themselves to do that.
Yeah, I think TSM's just hesitating quite a bit. It seems like no one on their team really wants to be the guy who makes the mistake and loses the game. But when I'm looking at this, they've got Xayah with Rapid Fire, they've got Azir, they basically outrange everyone except Ezreal. So I think if, as a team, they're on the same page, they just walk up together, start hitting clutch. If they try to hit him back, you throw a Sedge ult, and you should just win through your range advantage like that. So it seems like they're being pretty hesitant, indecisive, and it's costing them a lot.
Yeah, to be fair to Clutch, though, they are pretty relentless with their attempts at making plays. You see the ones in the top lane that don't go their way, those Tahm Kench ultimates, like we were saying. And then there, they respond pretty well to when TSM does want to pressure them. That started all because Clutch Gaming had gone to Ocean Drake and said, contest us at Ocean Drake. And TSM failed to do that correctly, and then they get into that whole Baron situation where you're basically splitting sides of the map. That led to that ultimate, game-losing play.
One last shot for either of these teams to make it to the World Championship as our 3rd seed. TSM goes to blue side. How do they do it?
Well, I think they'll go back to the Skarner ban because, now they'll have an extra ban, not having to do those red side bans. That'll make them not have to buy the QSSs, and honestly, it's hard to say. I think that they should try something other than Aatrox. Broken Blade has looked very good on champions that aren't Aatrox. His Aatrox wasn't bad this last game, but I think he's a lot more comfortable on other picks. So I think that, you get the Azir Corki mid lane, just get bot lane on something comfortable, and yeah, hope for the best.
That's champions like Crumbs. What about in-game? What does TSM need to change or alter about their play to wrap this one up with a little bow?
They need one singular voice, one person to say, this is the call that we're making, and everybody else has to follow up. That needs to happen. It's visible that nobody is doing it at the time, and if they can finally do that, you can actually fight Clutch Gaming that is bringing 5 people to the fight. If you can do the same, you can actually fight fire with fire and come out ahead with a pretty powerful draft if you get a Azir and Xayah again.
Now, Mark, I realize I've made a dire mistake leaving the clutch points to
I
you.
can't talk about clutch.
No, but you have to do it.
TSM, they should go for some snowball picks. I like the Jason game 1. The early game's clearly their strength at this point in their development, so they should go more centric towards early game.
All right, let's walk it back the other way then. Crumbs, you tackle champion select for clutch from me from red side.
All right, Clutch Gaming, red side. You can probably save the last pick for your solo lanes. I think you prioritize getting something early for Lira, so you can lock in a Skarner and a Gragas right away, get your bottom lane, and make sure that Huni gets a really powerful matchup. Not too worried about Damonte. I liked his Nico, so I think that he's a pretty stable mid laner. So make sure that Huni can crush top lane, and you have a really good chance at making it to Worlds.
That's champion select. Now you get the in-game for clutch. What should they change or alter about their playstyle and strategy that would wrap this one up?
Well, I don't think Clutch has to change too much because pretty much all series, even in the games where they lost, it seems like they've been the ones who've been dictating the plays. They've been forcing a lot of them. Even the plays that don't work, a lot of the time it's them forcing.
Okay.
So I like that aggression. I think it's really good. TSM's feeling a lot of pressure, which you can tell by their play just watching them. And so I don't think they have to change too much. You know, just stick with the early game aggressive champs and keep making TSM feel it.
Keep it up, but clean it up. There it is. Worlds is coming down to one more game. Can Clutch pick up a reverse sweep of their own? We'll find out after some silver scrapes.
Mystic shots are following up, but here is the rest of the team of Clutch, and they just have slivers of health. They're attacking up for TSM. Gets a quick stun on the Broken Blade. Spica doesn't have to follow up damage. Spica's got one more shot in him, and he turns off.
Careful left side, don't go to that, don't go to that. They're fine. It's not bad for us here. We win. I can play through. Nice.
Those resistances are cut from fighting the Baron as well as the damage that you're doing to it. Lyra's coming in. They get Spica. Bjergsen's looking to kill Huni. Soldiers forward. Huni just gets to drop out. That's going to be the Morellos, not an Ignite, so Huni stays alive. Here comes Damonte. Plays the prison in his hands. They're going to get one kill there. Clutch Gaming come all the way back. Like I said, they planted the seed for the reverse sweep, and man, is it starting to grow.